The Carolina Panthers finally built the kind of roster Bryce Young was supposed to grow into, and then training camp started taking pieces away. That is what makes this season so dangerous and so interesting. Carolina is coming off an NFC South title. Young has reigning Offensive Rookie of the Year, Tyrone McMillan beside him. Jalen Coker just earned a new long-term deal, and veteran tight end Darren Waller has been added to give this passing game another weapon. Even the voice in Young's helmet is changing because Dave Canales has handed the play-calling job to Brad Idzik for 2026. This is not the same offense Carolina carried into last season. The expectations have moved, and the Panthers did not stop there. They went after the biggest weakness on defense and brought in Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, two players who can change what happens before the ball ever reaches J.C. Horn and that secondary. Carolina wanted more speed, more pressure, and more players who could make something happen on one snap. Early signs have already shown why those moves matter. But here is where the story turns. Nick Scarton went down with a torn ACL on the first day of camp. Taylor Moton is expected to miss regular season time. Ike Ekwonu has been fighting his way back from a serious knee injury. Then, rookie receiver Chris Brazzell II suffered a knee injury that ended his season before it ever began. Carolina built more talent, then immediately got tested on how deep that talent really goes. That changes everything around Bryce Young. He is not entering a quiet rebuilding year anymore. He is leading a division champion with better weapons, major defensive additions, a new play caller, and real expectations hanging over every early game. At the same time, some of the players meant to protect that progress may not be there when the season opens. So now the Panthers have to answer a much bigger question. Was last year simply a wild run through a tight division, or was it the first sign that Carolina had finally turned the corner? To understand why that question matters so much, you have to go back and look at what really happened last season, because the final record does not come close to telling the whole story. The strange thing about Carolina last season is that the record never showed how much the team changed. After opening with 2 road losses, the Panthers came home and crushed Atlanta 30-0. That game did more than stop the slide. It showed a defense that could control Sunday from start to finish, and it gave the locker room proof that close games did not have to define everything. Then the season produced moments that felt different. Carolina erased a 17-point hole against Miami, survived a hard fight with Dallas, and went to New York and beat the Jets with defense taking over. The biggest statement came against Los Angeles. Bryce Young finished with a career-best passer rating of 147.1, and his late touchdown throw to Tyrone McMillan completed a 31-28 win over the Rams. But January showed how small the gap still was. Carolina reached the playoffs, led Los Angeles late, and watched Matthew Stafford answer with the winning touchdown with 38 seconds left. The Panthers were very close. They were close enough to make off-season decisions feel bigger, especially the ones built around Bryce Young. For Bryce Young, the next step is not about proving he belongs. Carolina already showed its belief by picking up his 5th-year option, which keeps him under team control through 2027. The real test is whether he can turn late-game poise into steady offense from the opening drive. Carolina averaged only 18.3 points per game last season, so the jump has to begin with cleaner starts and longer possessions. The quarterback room changed too. Andy Dalton was traded to Philadelphia, and Kenny Pickett arrived to handle the backup role. Behind Young, that creates a younger support system with starting experience. The backfield also carries hope. Jonathan Brooks finally returned to game action in Buffalo after missing all of last season, touching the ball 4 times and getting through his first snaps since 2024. Buffalo also delivered the warning. Young completed 3 of 5 passes for 18 yards, and Carolina failed to earn a first down with the starting offense on the field. It was preseason, so nobody should overreact, but it exposed the next challenge. Carolina can believe in Young. Now the offense has to start fast enough to reward that belief. Carolina knows where the defensive jump has to come from. The Panthers finished last season with only 30 sacks, even while the unit improved elsewhere. That is why Jalen Phillips matters inside Ejiro Evero's system. His job is not simply to chase sack totals. He has to force quicker throws, change protection calls, and create cleaner chances for Derek Brown and the rest of the front. Devin Lloyd adds a different problem for offenses. He can run, cover, close space, and make quarterbacks think twice about throwing into the middle. Behind that front, J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson give Carolina proven ball skills outside. Horn finished last season with 5 interceptions, while Jackson added 4. If pressure arrives faster, those numbers can become more dangerous because quarterbacks will have less time to wait for routes to open. The hidden battle is beside Lloyd. Trevin Wallace and Claudin Sherrillis are fighting for that starting linebacker job, while Princely Umanmielen has a larger chance to help off the edge. Carolina does not need one defender to carry everything. It needs the pieces to connect. If they do, this defense could completely change the shape of games before the fourth quarter ever arrives. The offensive line may decide whether Carolina's plans look calm or chaotic in September. With both starting tackle spots unsettled, the Panthers are leaning on choices made before camp became messy. Rasheed Walker brings proven experience on the left side, while first-round rookie Monroe Freeling has been working at right tackle. That gives Carolina two options instead of forcing an emergency move. Inside, the picture is stronger. Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis give the Panthers veteran power at guard, and their health matters because tackles play better when the pocket is firm beside them. Luke Fortner is handling center after Cade Mays left in free agency. Fortner started 10 games for New Orleans and brings experience making protection calls, something that matters when the edges of the line are changing. The question is how quickly this group can become one unit. Protection is not 5 separate jobs. One missed call can wreck a clean play before Bryce Young gets a chance to read the field. Carolina has depth, but depth only matters when it performs under real pressure. The first few Sundays will show whether the backup plan was smart preparation or whether the line still needs more time. Carolina's draft class was not built around one headline name. It was built to spread help across the roster. After taking Monroe Freeling in the first round, the Panthers used pick 49 on Lee Hunter, an interior defender whose best work comes against the run. That matters because Derek Brown cannot be asked to handle every inside snap while also creating pressure. The middle rounds added different kinds of upside. Rookie receiver Chris Brazzell II was drafted to bring length and deep speed before his season ended early. Corner Will Lee III gives the secondary another long defender with man coverage ability. Center Sam Hecht brings polished technique, while safety Zachy Wheatley offers range and development. None of those players needs to become a star immediately. Carolina needs useful snaps, reliable depth, and growth. Then came Jackson Kuwach in the 7th round, a linebacker coming off a breakout college season. That final pick explains the class well. The Panthers were searching for traits, competition, and future answers across several positions instead of chasing one quick fix. The draft grade will not be decided in August. It will be decided when injuries hit, roles expand, and someone has to answer. Carolina also changed the roster by deciding which production it was willing to replace. Rico Dowdle left after rushing for 1,076 yards in his only Panthers season, giving Pittsburgh a proven runner while Carolina moved forward with a different backfield plan. Cade Mays also departed for Detroit, taking starting experience from the middle of the offensive line and forcing Carolina to reset that position. The defense saw turnover too. Christian Rozeboom, who led Carolina with 122 tackles last season, signed with Tampa Bay. Ashawn Robinson joined him there after being released, while DJ Wonnum moved to Detroit. Those exits matter because they remove familiar snaps from Ejiro Evero's group, but they also show how aggressively the front office wanted to reshape the defense around different strengths. Even the quarterback room changed direction. Andy Dalton was sent to Philadelphia for a future 7th-round pick, closing his role as Bryce Young's veteran backup. None of these moves should be judged alone. Carolina traded familiarity for a younger, faster, and more flexible roster. Now the real question is whether all that turnover can become chemistry before the games start counting, once September puts everything under pressure. September will answer more about Carolina than any offseason headline. The Panthers open at home against Chicago, then travel to Atlanta and Cleveland before Detroit comes to Charlotte for Sunday Night Football. After that comes an early bye. That gives Carolina 4 games to learn whether its pieces can settle quickly and whether the depth built during spring can hold up when every snap matters. The division leaves room for opportunity, but nothing will be handed over. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and New Orleans each have reasons to believe they can move forward. Carolina's path is simple. Protect the football, keep Bryce Young clean enough to stay aggressive, create pressure without losing balance, and finish close games better than opponents. If those things happen, 9 wins is realistic, and 10 is not out of reach. That is why the first month feels important. Last season proved the Panthers could survive chaos and still reach January. This season asks something harder. Can they become steady enough that survival is no longer the whole story? By the bye week, Carolina should know more about its line, its defense, and its quarterback. If those answers are positive, The NFC South race could look different.